So, guys, 7 years later, we are back with one of the best superhero TV shows out there. We have waited so long for this, and finally, it has aired on Disney Plus. Daredevil Born Again has released today with its first 2 episodes. So, we have a 2 episode premiere, and literally, it feels like just a brand new season of Daredevil from the Netflix series. It just feels like we've never left. And oh my god, this show just trashed on every single Marvel TV show that we've had released on Disney Plus. This feels completely different. Everything about this was just so perfect. It just did not feel like we were watching an MCU show. This genuinely felt like Daredevil season 4. We still have a lot of elements that they took from the Netflix series Daredevil, but obviously we do have MCU spins on it as well, and we will obviously talk about this in more detail when I get to the full review and breakdown itself. But the whole choreography with the fight scenes just never misses with this show. The cinematography was so on point as well. The dark tone just, it genuinely felt like Daredevil season 4, and that was something I really loved. Like, one thing I was very worried about was the fact that they would completely MCU this show, and I know, like, at the very start of production that's what they did, but people that reviewed it did not like it. But I am so glad that they went for the reshoots. They've reshot everything, they did it all over again, and Marvel has genuinely delivered with, so far, its 2 strongest episodes of MCU TV out there with Daredevil Born Again. Oh my god, I loved every piece of these 2 episodes, and I just cannot wait to go into more and talk about more of these as well. Now, obviously, we have Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and we also have Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, both of which have appeared in the MCU already. Like, we've obviously had Daredevil in She-Hulk, we've had Daredevil in Echo, and we've had Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home. And likewise for Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk, he's appeared in the MCU a couple of times as well, including being the main villain for the Hawkeye series as well. So these 2 characters have already been incorporated in the MCU, but it's just so good to see not only Daredevil get his own continuation or just own MCU Disney Plus show, but also it's very good to see Wilson Fisk and Daredevil together once again. Now, obviously, before I get into the breakdown, I will give a quick spoiler warning because I will be going over some major spoilers that you certainly wouldn't want to hear from me. So for those who do not want any spoilers, then go watch the episode and then come back later for this breakdown. Now, one thing I do really want to mention that I really liked about this MCU version of Daredevil is I really loved the way they expressed Matt Murdock's abilities a lot more over here compared to the Netflix show. Like, I know the camera work plays a big difference, but like, I really love the way that they use the effects, they use the cinematography really well. Like, one of the scenes, for example, I will get into it in a bit obviously, but the scene in the bar when Matt uses his hearing abilities to hear Foggy, like, I love the way they shot that. Like, these first 2 episodes were just genuinely so well shot, and like I said, it feels like Daredevil season 4. Now, obviously, like, this episode kicks off with our OG trio cast. We have Matt Murdock, we have Foggy Nelson, and we have Karen Page. They leave the legal office and they're walking around New York. Now, obviously, there's a difference because now we're not in Hell's Kitchen anymore, we are somewhere else. They're Matt, Foggy, and Karen, they're celebrating the retirement of veteran NYPD officer known as Cherry. And they're in the bar, they're obviously they're having fun. We have Matt and we have Karen talking out, and then we have Foggy doing something else in which he receives a call, and he has this like frightened client, and he leaves the bar, it goes on a phone call, and Matt notices that something is wrong because he obviously hears the phone call himself. Now, while that's happening, obviously we do get like another shot of which we later on find out is Point Dexter breaking into the room, which Benny will obviously be in trouble. But like I said, when I mentioned that I really like the way they use Matt Murdock's abilities over here, this scene was the one I was talking about. Like, he uses his hearing abilities and the camera work and everything they put into like this scene over here, I really did like. Now, obviously, Matt notices that something is wrong, and he quickly runs over, he suits up as Daredevil, and this is quite different to the Netflix series, but like, What we do see is Daredevil over here being much more acrobatic. Like obviously he does have like a grappling hook type thing now, in which in the Netflix series it's a bit more realistic than that. Like he's not really like being all acrobatic, going from rooftop to rooftop using his grappling hook and all those sorts of stuff. I did still find it really, really cool though. Now Poindexter comes in as Bullseye and he just wreaks havoc. He goes around just killing everyone. He shoots Foggy Nelson, in which obviously we do see Foggy like in a very, very big life-threatening situation, and then obviously spoiler alert, later on he does die. But one thing I really loved about this over here as well, like we have this incredible fight scene between Poindexter and Daredevil, but while they're fighting, like not only do we have some like incredible like camera work and like fight choreography as well, but one thing I really, really liked was while Matt is fighting, you still hear, or like you see Matt use his hearing abilities to hear Foggy's heartbeat as well. And this was something I really did like. I did think it's a cool addition. And another thing I did really appreciate is like how they make their fight scenes realistic. Like you do see at one point that Daredevil and Bullseye, they both do get tired. Like they get tired out while fighting, they're out of breath, they're trying to catch their breath, and they just continue fighting again. I really, really did like that. But yeah, we have this incredible, like, amazing fight scene between them two. Just absolutely, once again, just crapped on any fight scene that we've had from the MCU Disney Plus shows. And yeah, while they fight out, obviously we do have Karen, like, you know, trying to help Foggy. But sadly, Foggy does pass away, in which I was shocked. I did not expect that. The fact that we saw that, and that's like Matt's closest friend. I thought it would have been Karen that would have bite the dust, but clearly not. And while that's happening, we do see Matt getting angrier and angrier, and he loses it to a point where Matt literally like knocks him over the ledge and just throws him down, and like he pretty much crosses the line at that point. And then we have Matt like collapsing to the ground. He's crying over Foggy because obviously that is his best friend. And he takes his Daredevil helmet and just throws it off the roof as well. And we just transition to a really, really cool opening scene. It's not the same as the Netflix series, obviously, but we do still have hints of like the original Netflix show, like hints of the main theme, which I did really like. But obviously, we do find out that the investigator finds out Matt's true identity as Daredevil as well. Now, we do see that a lot is different as we do pick up 1 year later after Foggy's death. We have Matt, who's pretty much retired being Daredevil. Like, he makes it clear that he's crossed the line, he's not going to do this anymore. But he's just being Matt Murdock, like he's just being a lawyer and that's it. And later on we do find out that he does have a new business partner, or like law partner, I guess. And she's obviously Kristen McDuffie, so the new law office is called Murdock and McDuffie, so it's both of them in a partnership together. Yeah, we do find out later on as well that Karen has abandoned them. She started a new life in San Francisco, and this was just in a way to just write them off. I know it was said that they will be back for season 2. Karen and Foggy will be back for season 2, most probably in some sort of like flashback scene or something like that. But this was the MCU's way to write off those characters, because yes, although we do still have hints of the original Daredevil series over here, this is still a brand new fresh take as well. So like obviously later on we do see Matt in a brand new relationship and everything, so we are starting off fresh, but we do still have the original core Daredevil things in this show as well. But like during Poindexter's sentencing, like we do obviously have Matt, you know, speaking to the jury. And we do obviously see Karen, who is obviously there as well. And we see Poindexter, like he's in no remorse whatsoever. Like he regrets literally nothing that happened. Obviously, we do find out that Poindexter gets a life sentence, and like it's impossible to be released after that. Now we do have a short discussion between Matt and Karen, and that is when we do find out that Karen has moved to San Francisco, so it is quite different to New York City. And you know, she's just completely away from like everything. Like she's been avoiding Matt, and you know, Matt's trying to talk to her, but she's like, no, I don't have time for this, I'm busy. But obviously Matt knows that she's lying because he can listen to her heartbeat. But you know, she does mention how, you know, he's been out of retirement for Daredevil, and like he should be back. And Karen does obviously give him like the devil horn that fell off during the first fight as well. Like the scene at the start where 1 year ago at that time he's fighting Poindexter, Karen held on to the Daredevil horn, so she did keep it and gives it to Matt later on. Now, while that is happening, we have, like I said, we have Matt dealing with his own life. He's a lawyer now, and he's just working with that. Meanwhile, the other big character himself, Wilson Fisk, has returned to the city, and obviously he's been dealing with his own things as well, while Vanessa, his wife, has been dealing with more of like the mafia type of stuff as well, which was quite cool to see. Like, we find out that she's the one handling all of the criminal businesses now, and she's actually made it so much better at the same time. Now, obviously, it was mentioned that Fisk has been missing, like Vanessa did say this. Now, where has Fisk been? Now, there's a couple of things you can assume over here. Obviously, one, you could say that he was dealing with the events of Hawkeye, and that's why he's been away. Like, we do know he was pretty much the main villain for Hawkeye, and we do know he was in other stuff as well. So it could be that, but I'm not sure, because like, it does say like he's been spending a couple of months like healing physically and emotionally, and he's trying to change as a man, and this is the point of Fisk's character this season, like his journey to becoming mayor, which we do see later on in this episode as well. But it was mentioned that Fisk has been dealing with vigilantes, and that's why he's been gone for a while, so it is safe to assume that this was during the events of Hawkeye itself. But obviously Fisk does mention that he wants new ways to improve New York City, and this is where he gets the idea of running for mayor. Like, he doesn't want to be Kingpin, the king of crime, anymore. He just wants to be mayor, which obviously we know is all BS, but yeah, he is running for mayor. And we do have this really, really sick scene now. Obviously, Murdock finds out that Fisk is running for mayor, and like, he doesn't like this idea. Now, obviously, Fisk does know that Matt Murdock is Daredevil as well. This was established in Daredevil Season 3. But over here, we have this final, like, not final, but it's the final scene, but it's this really, really sick interaction between Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. And, they're sat down having coffee together. And it was intense, whilst also it felt like a scene where two exes are just talking to each other. And, like, Fisk does say something along the lines of, "I must admit, it's quite nice to have you around here," something like that. They're having, like I said, they're having coffee together, but these are two enemies, and obviously now Fisk says he's a new man, he's changed, he's, gonna be mayor, he wants to help New York City, which Matt Murdock does not believe one bit. But now, obviously, the whole world is aware that Daredevil has not been around for a year, and since Fisk already knows Matt Murdock's identity, he knows exactly why this happened. Fisk does make it very clear that I had nothing to do with your friend's death, and he does also mention like how Daredevil's not been around. But yeah, he does say it's hard to come into terms with your violent nature, and that is obviously due to how Matt, pretty much as he says, he crossed the line, and that's why he's not being Daredevil anymore. And yeah, like, we do have Matt saying like if he sees something that's happening that's out of the ordinary, he will confirm. Like, he does warn Fisk, and Fisk does say the same thing to him. Like, he does say there will be no vigilantes around in my city. So we do have this really nice and like cold interaction between the two, and I just cannot wait to see more of these two together. Now, we do obviously have Matt Murdock on a dinner date. He did have a date with like a psychologist that was arranged by the person he's working with at the office, and this time it's a dinner date and they're having a good time. He uses his super hearing, and he finds out that Wilson Fisk has won the elections, whilst at the same time we have Fisk pretty much standing there, and it becomes clear that he's become mayor. He sees Vanessa from a distance, and Fisk does end up making his speech, and we just get this cool montage of both of them. Like, we have Fisk just on the rooftop staring at New York, whilst we have Matt Murdock walking with the people, and suddenly we just have this like flicker of red, and I just thought it was really, really cool. Now, heading into episode 2, nothing really much happened in terms of like the Daredevil side, but there were some really, really cool like moments seeing Fisk in office, like him dealing with being mayor, and also Matt Murdock actually like delving into his like law side. That we had some really cool moments, and of course we will get into in just now. So firstly, we see Fisk like struggling with being mayor. Like, we have his assistant who he's hired, and she's pretty much helping him like into politics because he doesn't really know much about politics, so he has an assistant to help him. But his number one priority is, of course, to rebuild New York and make it better in Fisk terms. But his assistant brings forward the idea about the issue of him and Vanessa working together in office. So we do have Fisk, trying to work his way around that. And the way they tie Matt's story and Fisk's story is actually done in a very interesting way, which we will obviously get into. Now, we do have like an issue going around underground where we have two corrupt officers like pretty much threatening a guy. Now, an eyewitness who, in which later on in this episode we do find out to be a pretty important guy, but he ends up saving this person from these dirty cops. Of course, he doesn't know that they are cops at the moment, which is why he chooses to fight them. And then when a subway comes in and runs over one of the cops, he finds out that he's pretty much messed with the cops, and obviously his identity is revealed as well. Like, no one knows that he's the White Tiger, but like over here, like obviously he's not wearing his suit or anything like that, so he does end up in some issues. Now, we do see more of Wilson Fisk dealing with, being mayor. Like, we do see him immediately take action in terms of like trouble that's happening in the city. Like, he's trying to get somewhere, but there's traffic on board, and because there's traffic, he quickly like exits the car. He calls everyone over and he tells them like, yo, like, fill this ditch up right now, and all the workers come in and just do it. And like Fisk is pretty much like, you see, I'm not messing around when I'm saying I'm here to solve the problems. So we do see how he's trying to overcome these issues, and he does do stuff in a very interesting way as well. He does do some things in a very Fisk way, shall we say, like later on in the episode where the commissioner is trying to resign, but like he shows this very like slick way of like threatening the commissioner with his family. I thought that was pretty badass, I can't lie. I'm like, damn, Fisk is not messing around. But like I said, now we do see Matt more on his like law side in this episode more than the Daredevil side, because like we saw, he's retired being Daredevil, so he's just a lawyer right now. But Matt goes to the precinct and he overhears a corrupt officer pretty much beating up, like I said, the White Tiger, who's Hector. And he pretty much joins in and he tries to interview Hector, but like, he doesn't really say much. And I did find it pretty funny how, he looks at him, Matt, and he's like, wait, hold on, you're blind? Like, almost in a way where he's underestimating him. But pretty much Matt knows he's innocent because, of course, he can hear his heartbeat while he's explaining all of these things. And we do have this side story with this whole case where, they go to court, but, like, the trial first gets denied, and Matt, tells his investigator, Cherry, to go to Hector's flat. And Cherry eventually learns that, yes, indeed, Hector is hiding something. He is the White Tiger, which obviously Matt was suspicious. Matt knew he was hiding something, and now that he knows, he can do everything he can to help Hector's case. Now, one really, really cool thing that was mentioned through Fisk, it was like towards the start of the episode, and he does mention his problem with vigilantes, and as mayor, like, he just genuinely does not like vigilantes. He doesn't want them around, and he needs to gain the favor of the cops. Now, in terms of vigilantes, he mentioned White Tiger, he mentioned Daredevil, but he also mentioned someone who's very, very familiar in like the comic book world with Fisk, and they are good enemies as well, and that is none other than Spider-Man himself. He does mention someone wearing like a spider suit and like, going around with webs and stuff. So the cool Spider-Man name tease, it could be foreshadowing. I don't know. I'm not saying we're gonna see Spider-Man in this show because I very highly doubt that's gonna happen, but maybe in Spider-Man 4, which we know is going to start filming soon, maybe we might see a more grounded version of Spider-Man. Maybe we can even see Vincent D'Onofrio appear in that film, and we could have Fisk as one of the villains in Spider-Man 4. That would be really cool. So I just thought that was really nice to mention that, yes, Spider-Man is around, Fisk is aware of him, and just seeing Fisk versus Spider-Man would be something really, really cool. So hopefully we do see that down the line. Now, like I said, Fisk and Matt's stories do get intertwined by one person. That is through Matt's girlfriend, where she is now like the psychologist of Fisk and Vanessa. So it'll be very interesting to see where that all leads. Now, in terms of Matt's investigation, he does obviously go back to Hector, and he does say okay, so you're a vigilante over here, and how hard is it going to be like for the DA's office to find this out if I was able to find it out? So he does put pressure on Hector like that. And it is indeed true, because what happens is that Matt tries to convince the judges that they should not use any evidence at all regarding the identity of Hector as the White Tiger, because he obviously was not in the suit wearing in the first place, so it's not really necessary for something to mention. Like the vigilante, he wears a mysterious necklace, and that helps like boost his strength, and he's obviously in a costume, but Hector didn't have any of that. So like he's pretty much said that his secret life of fighting crime like didn't really matter, because he was there costumeless just doing it anyway. So the fact that they should reveal his identity is just unnecessary, and the judge agreed. But then the episode ends in a very, very badass way, where we have Matt following Officer Powell. Like he hears him, he uses his super hearing, and he just follows him. Now obviously Officer Powell is the officer that arrested Hector at the start of the episode, and he overhears the fact that Officer Powell is after Nicky Torres, and he's gonna pretty much go and kill him. And this is when Matt goes to save the day. It was a very, very intense and badass scene. He just goes up to Torres, he's like, look, in about 10 seconds time the police is gonna come here, you need to run. And Torres goes away, and then Matt pretty much saves him. But then the cops arrive, and Powell did not like what Matt was doing over here. Like he was pretty much mocking them, and they found it easy because it's like they're just beating up a blind man, and like Matt was taking every hit until someone pulls a gun on him, and that's when Matt loses it. He just goes all out once again. Such a brutal fight scene. I really, really loved it. There was a time when one of the officers grabbed him, and we do see the tattoo of one of them, and they're using the Punisher logo. Now I don't think these guys work for Frank Castle or anything like that. I think these guys are just using like the Punisher logo as like a symbol to go above the law. And when Frank Castle gets introduced, because we do know that he's going to be in this show, maybe this is going to be a plot that we're going to see the Punisher deal with, and I am very interested to see where all of this goes. But yeah, Matt just beats the absolute living crap out of them and pretty much kills them. He breaks their necks, and we just see Matt go all out. So like I said, like over here we just see Matt losing it at this point, and this scene was just very, very well acted by Charlie Cox, and I cannot wait to see where everything goes. But yeah, overall, like I said, 2 very, very strong episodes of Daredevil. Once again, feels very, very good to have these characters back, and having a show like Daredevil. Like I said, this just felt like I was watching Daredevil season 4. Like the fact that nothing really feels like it's changed, I really, really like. And I do like the fresh take with new characters, but still like aspects of the old show at the same time. I really, really liked all of it, and I cannot wait to see where this all goes. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below if you guys have enjoyed Daredevil so far. I'm interested to see all of your thoughts towards all of it as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.